Your mind is tired, isn't it? You've been holding too much for too long. So many voices, so many memories, so many fears whispering inside your head. You smile on the outside, but inside, there's a storm no one sees. You keep saying you're okay, but deep down you're not sure what okay even means anymore. You miss yourself, don't you? The version of you who used to laugh without thinking, who used to dream without fear, who used to love without calculation. Somewhere along the way, life made you quieter, not in a peaceful way but in a tired way. And you wonder, will I ever feel light again? You will, but not in the way you expect. Healing won't come as a loud, dramatic moment. It won't come through sudden clarity or instant peace. It will come slowly, softly, in moments that almost feel invisible. Like when you wake up and realize the thought that once broke you doesn't hurt as much. Like when you listen to your favorite song, and instead of crying, you just breathe. Like when you finally forgive yourself for not being perfect. That's the power of quiet healing. It's subtle, it's silent, but it changes everything. There was a time when you thought pain meant weakness. There was a time when you thought pain meant weakness. Now you're starting to understand pain was the teacher, not the enemy. Came to break you open, so light could finally reach the places you used to hide. Sometimes silence is the loudest medicine. It's in silence that you hear your true self whisper, "I'm still here. I never left." And when you finally stop running, you realize healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to forget. Maybe your healing began the day you decided to stop chasing people who didn't see your worth. Or the day you chose rest over proving yourself. Maybe it began when you cried in the shower, not because you were weak, but because you were finally letting go. Every tear, every quiet night, every deep breath, it was building something inside you. Patience, wisdom, strength. You see, healing is not a performance. No one needs to know what you're going through. No one needs to clap when you finally move on. Because healing is not meant to impress the world. It's meant to free your soul. You're learning to trust again. Not people, not circumstances, but yourself. The way you get up each time you fall. The way you find meaning in pain. The way you keep believing there's more to your story. That's faith. That's strength. Some days your progress will be invisible. No one will see it, not even you. But the truth is, healing happens in layers. Each small moment adds up to a transformation. Like drops of rain carving mountains. Quiet healing shapes you slowly but powerfully. There's a quiet kind of power that comes from not needing to explain your pain anymore. You stop defending your choices. You stop overthinking your past. You stop trying to make everyone understand. Because you finally realize, understanding yourself is enough. You'll notice something beautiful happening. Your reactions start to change. Things that once triggered you lose their power. You stop replaying old conversations in your head. You stop needing closure from people who hurt you. That's healing too. That's you taking your power back. Silently. The world might not notice your progress, but your soul does. It celebrates every tiny victory, every moment you choose peace over chaos. And one day, without realizing it, you'll wake up and feel lighter. You'll look at the sky and it will look different, not because the world changed, but because you did. You'll feel it when you no longer crave validation, when you no longer chase people who drain you, when you finally understand that solitude isn't loneliness, it's freedom. You'll start finding comfort in simple things. The sound of rain, the warmth of sunlight through your window, the quiet rhythm of your own breathing. Moments that once felt empty now feel sacred, because you're learning to be at home within yourself. That's inner growth, not loud, not visible, not dramatic, but deep, steady, and real. And when people ask you, what changed? You might not have an answer, because how do you explain the kind of healing that happens in silence, in solitude, in stillness? You simply smile and say, I'm learning to be at peace. Healing teaches you to stop running after what's already gone, to stop fighting for things that aren't meant for you, to trust that what's yours will always find its way back. You begin to understand that sometimes losing something is life's way of making space for something better. And that realization, that surrender, is where true growth begins. You're no longer fighting life, you're flowing with it. You stop forcing answers. You stop begging the universe for control. Instead, you whisper, I trust the timing of my life. You start seeing your pain as part of your path, not as punishment but as preparation. The heartbreaks, the rejections, the disappointments, they all shaped you into someone softer, wiser, someone who now knows what peace truly feels like. Quiet healing is powerful because it doesn't need to prove anything. It's not loud, but it's lasting. It's not fast, but it's real. Teaches you to love the process, not just the result. And somewhere along this journey, you begin to notice the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is when you're missing someone else. Solitude is when you finally find yourself. In solitude, you rediscover forgotten dreams. You pick up pieces of yourself you left behind in past relationships, in old jobs, in lost friendships. You start rebuilding slowly, quietly, intentionally. You realize that you don't need a perfect plan to move forward. You just need to take one honest step, then another and another. Every small step matters. Every quiet choice to keep going counts. Because healing isn't about becoming untouchable. It's about learning to live gently with what hurt you. It's about carrying your pain with grace, not letting it define your story, but letting it refine your soul. There will be days when you'll still feel heavy, when the silence feels too loud, when you'll want to run back to old habits or old people. But don't. Breathe. Trust that you are not going backwards. You're just being reminded of how far you've come. And one day it'll click. Peace was never something you had to search for outside. It was inside you all along, waiting for you to be still enough to feel it. That's the power of quiet healing. It doesn't make you someone new. It brings you back to who you've always been. Oh, enough. Peace. You've come so far even if it doesn't feel like it yet. You've survived things that once made you question if you'd ever smile again. You've carried pain that no one saw, and somehow you still found the strength to keep showing up for life. That's what quiet healing does. Teaches you to breathe even when it hurts, to believe even when you can't see the way forward. You used to think healing meant forgetting. But now you know healing means remembering without breaking. It's when a memory crosses your mind. And instead of tears, you just feel gratitude for how far you've come. The past doesn't disappear. It just stops controlling you. You no longer chase closure. You create it. You no longer look for apologies. You give yourself peace. You no longer fight for people to stay. You trust what's meant to stay will never need convincing. There's a kind of grace in that acceptance. The kind that makes you softer without making you weak. You start to look at life differently. Not as a battle to win, but as a journey to understand. You begin to see beauty even in the things that didn't last. The friendships that faded, the loves that ended, the opportunities that slipped away. They all had their purpose. They taught you lessons that strength alone never could. Every goodbye carved space for new beginnings. Every loss whispered truths you needed to hear. And now, when something leaves your life, you no longer break. You bow your head and whisper, "Thank you for what you taught me." That's maturity, when you no longer react out of pain, but respond out of understanding. When you stop seeking revenge and start seeking peace. When you stop needing to prove your worth because you finally know it. Quiet healing gives you that kind of confidence. Not the loud, boastful kind, but the silent certainty that you can handle whatever comes next. You start realizing that peace doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you've accepted that not everything will be. And yet, you're still choosing calm over chaos, faith over fear, and gratitude over bitterness. You no longer chase happiness. You create it moment by moment. You find it in the smell of morning coffee, in the laughter of a friend, in the feeling of clean sheets after a long day. You begin to see that joy was never missing. You just weren't still enough to notice it. There's a certain peace that comes from sitting with your own thoughts, without trying to escape them. You stop distracting yourself with noise. You stop needing to be busy just to feel alive. You let silence teach you what chaos never could. That peace is a choice, not a condition. And sometimes, that peace means walking away quietly. Not out of anger, not out of pride, but because you're finally choosing your energy over your ego. You no longer argue to be understood. You stay silent to protect your peace. That silence is power. It's not emptiness, it's clarity. You finally understand that not every battle deserves your presence, and not every person deserves your access. You start creating boundaries, not walls. Boundaries say, I care about myself too. Boundaries say, I can love you without losing me. And that realization changes everything. Because healing doesn't just change how you feel. It changes how you love. You stop loving from fear. You stop begging to be chosen. You stop pouring yourself into people who only take. You start loving from fullness, not from emptiness. You learn that real love doesn't drain. It restores. Real love doesn't demand you to shrink. It helps you grow. And once you taste that kind of peace, you'll never go back to the chaos you once called love. You'll find yourself smiling for no reason. Not because everything is perfect, but because you finally understand. Peace feels better than proving anything ever could. The quiet moments that once felt lonely now feel sacred. You begin to cherish your own company. You talk to yourself kindly. You stop criticizing your reflection. You start saying, I'm proud of you, and meaning it. That's what real growth looks like. It's not loud. It doesn't demand to be seen. It's a slow unfolding, like dawn after a long night. You begin to understand that not everything needs fixing. Some things just need to be felt. Some wounds are not meant to disappear. They're meant to remind you of your strength. So you stop rushing your healing. You stop forcing yourself to move on. You let yourself move through. You allow each emotion to come, teach you, and then leave when it's time. Healing isn't about becoming untouched by pain. It's about becoming unshaken by it. You stop fearing life's waves, because now you've learned how to float. And when you look back, you'll realize the most beautiful part of your story wasn't the moments of happiness, but the moments of quiet courage. When you chose peace in the middle of chaos. That's inner growth, not a transformation that everyone can see, but one that only your soul can feel. And one day someone will look at you and ask, how did you become so calm, so peaceful? You'll smile softly and say, I stopped fighting life. I started listening to it. You'll learn that true strength is gentle. It's the strength to forgive, the strength to let go, the strength to walk away without hatred, the strength to keep believing in goodness even after being hurt. Quiet healing builds that kind of strength. A quiet, unshakable faith in life. Because one day you'll look around and realize, you're no longer surviving, you're living. The heaviness is gone. The anxiety is softer. The future doesn't scare you anymore. You've learned to find home in yourself. To find comfort in your own presence. To find safety in your own stillness. You've become the calm you were always searching for. And that's the final truth of quiet healing. It doesn't make you louder. It makes you lighter. It doesn't make you tougher. It makes you truer. So when life feels uncertain again, when pain returns, when old memories visit you at night, don't panic. Just breathe. You've been here before, and you made it through. This time you'll move through it with grace. Because you know healing isn't something you do once. It's something you keep living every day in quiet ways. And maybe one day someone broken will sit beside you, and without saying much, they'll feel peace in your presence. Because healed energy speaks louder than words. You won't need to preach. You won't need to explain. You'll simply be the reminder that peace is possible, that softness is strength, that quiet healing is real. So tonight when you lie down, and your thoughts begin to whisper again. Just place your hand on your heart and say, I'm proud of how far I've come, because you've done something extraordinary. You've healed quietly, bravely, beautifully. You've turned your pain into wisdom, your silence into power, your loneliness into peace. This right here is the power of quiet healing, a quiet reminder of how deeply you've grown and how much more beautiful your life becomes when you learn to listen to your soul instead of your fear. You made it, and the world feels softer now, because you finally do too.